and thank you for joining me. So the question and answer session is back, and then I'm going to be picking up some of the questions that I get from the comments. We're going to be talking more about strong ties. I'm going to maybe read out some of the comments that I get, and then I'm going to throw more light to help someone out there. So stick with me. Now, this person says, how do you prove the family ties? How do you prove family ties? Is it verbal, or when and how do you bring it up if they don't ask you? If you actually watched the video where I talked about strong ties, I'm going to include the link here. I'm also going to maybe point it out here so you can go watch it. Now, strong ties in most cases is the information that you provide in your visa application form. You would have questions that would ask you like, what do you do for a living? How long have you worked there? Are you married or single? Do you have children? Do you have dependents? How do you have investment in your home country? What do you do for your organization? Are you part of, have you worked for the government? Are you part of any charity organization? All these are strong ties. So strong ties in most cases would refer to your circumstance, but of course you're able to prove it depending on the information that you provide in your visa application form, and then maybe additional documents that you include, and then also the explanation that you provide in your cover letter. Now, if you are not required to provide documents and then you attend an interview, it would be part of the question. It's a criteria that the visa officer, in trying to determine if you qualify for a visa, would want to establish if you have strong ties. So no one is going to ask you, do you have strong ties? No. It's going to depend with the questions that they ask you would form the opinion or would give them the answers that they need to determine if you have strong ties or not. So it's not something that you have to leave and wait for them to ask you so that you bring up. Like I said, it has to do with your presentation, the information that you provide, who you are, what you do, what you own, the strong, economic and social ties that you have in your home country. It is based on that they would look at it and determine if this person has strong ties or not. And strong ties is important, especially when you're applying for the short, the temporary visa where you're saying, I just want to visit, I would go back to my country because I have a life back home. And so they want to determine, do you have a life back home? How would they determine? They would go through every list that I have talked about earlier to determine if indeed you have strong ties or if you did not have strong ties. So I hope that helps. I am single and going for a dental conference. I'm definitely coming back because I have a mother that needs me, and also I am getting married in December. What documents and how do I prove these? And then, of course, this person goes on to say, people said I should have lied about my marital status on the form, that they don't give single people visas. Please respond. It is not true. I know many single people that have applied for visas and they've been granted, visas. You don't need to lie about your status. You just need to prove that you do have a life back home. And I know many married people that have been denied visas as well. So it has nothing to do with your marital status. If you're able to show that you do have sufficient, ties back home, that you're able to pay for your trip, and they trust that you will return home after your trip, you will be granted a visa. So don't listen to people who tell you to lie. It's always best to err on the side of caution. Once you lie once, you need more lies to cover up that lie. So why do you want to mess things up for yourself? Don't tell lies. Now, if you're attending the conference, what you need to do is show that the conference you're attending is relevant to what you do. And of course, in this case, you're engaged. You need to tell them, because if you're attending a physical interview, they would ask you if you're married or single. So you need to, if they ask you, you can say, oh, married or single. You're just like, okay, you're getting married in December. Even if they don't ask, that's something you can quickly just chip in, just to show that, hey, I'm coming back home to get married to my man. And then, you just need to show that, yes, you do have strong ties, you have a job, you have a sustainable job, you have a life back home, you have a mom who depends on you, and your visa application will be granted. So if you're able to establish all these things, you don't need to tell lies. You single people are granted visas all the time. Is the lease home agreement in my country a good tie to home country in visa application? A lease agreement, in my opinion, is not sufficient proof of ties. Well, it works different in different territories and countries. I would do more. Now, I'm not saying you can't include it. Yes, you should include it as a supporting document, but you just need to show more. However, if you own the property, that is sufficient proof of ties. It shows that, okay, you own this property. You're not going to abandon your investment and then just elope, or your asset in this case, and elope. So if you own the property, yes, it would be sufficient proof of ties. But a lease, I would add other documents. I would show other proof just to make my case stronger. I hope that helps. This person says, what would you define as a strong home tie? School ID card. Individual stating we are family letters. Now, well, your ID card alone is not sufficient proof of ties, unfortunately, so you need to do more. Now, that doesn't mean that students don't get granted a visa. And for a student, let's say you're traveling abroad, if you're a student and then you're traveling with your parents, and then your parents, can show proof of sufficient ties, then it would help your case, since you would be traveling with your parents. But if you're going on your own and then you say that you're a student and then all you have is an ID card or maybe a letter from someone saying that you're their family member, no, it's not sufficient. You need to do more. Now, for a student, the purpose of your trip would be considered. If it's if you're saying you're going on vacation and then you're a student, then you must show that you can afford your trip. And students are not, there are very few rich students, if you don't understand what I'm talking about. So unless you're showing that you're going on a family vacation, or maybe you're going for your sister's wedding, or there just has to be something, compelling. There has to be compelling reasons, for you to be there on your own. But if you're going with your family, then of course it makes sense that, okay, you have a family vacation. But going on your own, your ID card is not sufficient proof of ties. And then a letter from anyone saying that you're a family member, unless maybe it's the president of the country saying that they are their family, but then that is not sufficient proof of ties. You need to do more. I own a local land which I have built on, and I have the certificate. Can I use it even if it's not government land? The answer is yes, you can use it. For a first-time UK visa applicant, is it compulsory to add your flight details on the itinerary as proof that you would be back to your home country, even when you haven't been approved yet? I really don't know what to do. If I skip writing down my flight details, will it still be okay? Now, it is not compulsory for you to attach a flight ticket. As a matter of fact, your visa can still be denied even with a valid ticket reservation. And then you're always advised not to make those huge financial commitments, like maybe paying for a flight ticket, when your visa has not been approved. So you don't need to even attach a flight itinerary. It's not necessary. You can still get approved even without a flight itinerary. So don't feel compelled to do that. I was refused a Schengen visa twice in a 3-month period. Is it advisable to apply again, or should I just wait? And how long can I wait before applying again? Now, when it has to do with visa refusal, if you are refused the visa and then you apply again without any significant change in your circumstance where you were denied, your visa application would be denied again. And then doing it over and over again doesn't correct that mistake. So before you apply, you can apply at any time. Most embassies, really don't have a restriction as to when you can apply. You can apply immediately. I've always talked about my mom who was denied a visa, and then we applied like the same week that she was denied, and then the following week her visa was granted. Now, the most important question you should ask yourself is, I was denied for this reason, and then I'm applying again. Is there any significant change in that circumstance? Because if there's no change, you will be denied again. What do I mean by significant change? For example, you were denied because you didn't show proof, that trip, maybe you're going for a conference or something, and then you did not show documents. There was nothing to show that, yes, you had paid your conference fee, or that conference is important to you. If you're applying again and then providing the missing information that was, then it's, maybe you're not able to show sufficient proof that you could afford it. Maybe you forgot to include your bank statement or something. If you're applying again and including the information to show that, yes, I made an error the first time, but in this time I have done it right, I've done it different, your visa application will be, denied. I think you should also understand that once you have been denied once, anyone who is considering your application again is actually going to, be guided by that denial. It's going to look at the reason why you were denied, and then it's going to be judging you with that, at the back of their mind. So if your situation is not significantly different, you'll be denied again. So for someone who has been denied twice in 3 months, I will tell you to take a break. Go somewhere else. Just go somewhere else, because unless you have compelling reasons to be where you want to be, and then you have presented a better case, the third time, then you will be denied again. There's no point to apply. This person says, will there be any minimum value of property? And is it mandatory to show funds even if the trip is sponsored by an invitee? Now, there's no minimum value. An investment is an investment. The embassy is not going to be valuing what property you have. There's no minimum value. The most important thing is you have investment, you have assets, and you've shown proof of that asset. Now, people always ask if it is important for them to include their own bank statement even when they are sponsored by someone. Now, the thing about being sponsored by someone, you have to explain why that person is sponsoring you. If you say you're going on vacation, vacation is reserved for people who have money. Now, if you do not have money and someone is sponsoring you, number one, that's you taking one step back, telling the interviewing officer, I cannot afford to pay for my trip. Someone else is paying for my trip. Now, what they are going to want to know is, okay, why is this person paying for your trip? And then what is your relationship with that person? Now, if this person is abroad, it even makes your case bad. Why? They are reluctant to have people use money in their own country to fund you. They want you to bring, the whole idea of tourism is to have you bring your money to spend in their own country. So by the time, let's say, what you're saying is, I don't have money to pay for my trip, someone else is paying for my trip, you take one step back. This person paying for my trip is in your country. They are taking money from your country to come and pay for my trip. You take another step back. And then what is your relationship with this person, and why are they paying for your trip? So it's a case of, okay, you cannot afford this trip. You want to come to my country. What is the guarantee that you would go back? And what strong ties do you have in your home country? Because you cannot afford to pay for a trip and you want to come. So I want to be sure that when you come to my country, you would not work illegally, because your visa doesn't allow you work. And two, there will be no recourse to public funds if you get ill. The person who says they're paying for your trip can afford to pay for your trip, because we don't want you burdening our system. And then when they are not satisfied that you are not, minimal risk, they won't grant you that visa. So I'm saying that when you say someone is paying for your trip, if the person is your husband, if the husband is paying for the wife and the children, of course, that's beautiful, that's expected. If the mother is paying for a child, okay, maybe they promised you a vacation, that's okay. But when you have someone who is not your sister, who is not, maybe you say is your boyfriend or your girlfriend, I would always advise you to have your own bank statement. Now, the reason why I say yes, include your own bank statement is because it just shows that, okay, yes, they are paying for my trip, but I also have my own money. You're showing strong ties. I have my job, I have my own money. Even though they're paying for my tickets and accommodation, I still have my own money, which I'm going to come to your country and spend. I'm going to spend it, in experiences. I'm also going to spend it and, doing a bit of shopping. So to make yourself look good, yes, you should attach your own bank statement. It doesn't mean that your bank statement must show, sufficient funds to cater for the trip, but at least it should show that yes, you have a steady source of income. Because if it's empty and you have nothing doing, then it just shows that you'll be a liability to them, and nobody wants a liability in their country. So yes, you should also include your bank statement because it would make you look good. This person says, I am a student and I have no job, but my only parent, my mother, is alive. How can I convince them that my mother is here and I am a student, so I will come back? Please guide me. Now, it will be difficult for this person, to convince the interviewing officer, if they don't have a sponsor. Now, one, they're a student, they don't have a job, and they don't have strong ties. That's what it is. You're a student and then you want to go on a trip. Then it means someone else is paying. So you need to disclose who is paying and why they're paying for your trip, and then you need to be able to show that yes, you would come back home. But if I'm assessing you based on what you're telling me, you do not have strong ties, and I would be reluctant to give you a visa. So I hope this was useful. I hope you learned a thing or two from this. I'm going to have more videos like this, so you want to turn on your notifications, you want to leave your comments, because like I said, it's from the comments that I get here that I'm able to put out those videos just to help you. You want to be helped, I'm happy to help you. So leave your comments and share with someone, because you might have it all figured out, but someone else might need it. So thank you very much and see you next time.